Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful 2024 so far. Today I have 3 stories for you from the Entitled Parents subreddit. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Early Run 7888. My parents told me I owe them for all they've done for me after secretly stealing my identity. The Awakening. This year, I have become knowledgeable on why credit is so important. Blindly, I downloaded my credit report, expecting close to nothing to be on it. I knew that I had a school loan and 2 of my own credit cards. What I found out next, quite possibly, may have shattered my heart. I was shocked to see that I had a total of 6 credit cards open. What? How could this be? Where did these extra 4 cards come from? Why are they open still with outstanding balances? Why have 2 been closed by the creditor? Why is my credit so low? After panicking for a few minutes, my mind began to wander to a place I've hoped it never would. My mother. The betrayal begins. 6 years ago, my mother first stole my identity by opening her first credit card in my name using my social. Since then, she has opened 3 more credit cards and has practically utilized them to their maximum limits. She has missed payments and had accounts closed from years ago that still have balances. How could my mother do this to me? I felt sick. I felt hurt. I felt confused. I felt angry. I felt overwhelmed. I felt disgust. All I ever did was try to help you. I immediately called my mom on the phone, and I was not holding back. She hung up on me immediately. I then proceeded to call my stepdad to inform him about the situation and vent about how upset I was. The poor brainwashed and manipulated man stood up for my mother stealing my identity and said she was only trying to build your credit. At this point, I am angry, upset, hurt, confused, frustrated, and feeling more emotions than believed humanly possible. I know my mother has struggled financially in the past, with her previous home going into foreclosure and having to file for bankruptcy. At one point, my stepdad was working 3 jobs to support my mother, brother, and I while my mother was jobless. My mother did not work while with my dad, her first husband, either. He busted his butt at his restaurant in order to provide for my family, and sadly missed many birthdays and important events in the process. Did she ever feel any remorse? What she had done is illegal. She could go to jail. I could press charges. I could put a burden on her life just like she did on mine. True colors. The perfect life my mother displays on her social media is all a cover. She is not rich, does not have a perfect family. Her relationship isn't perfect, and she is not pleasant to be around. Once confronted, my mother experienced some sort of bipolar split personality episode where she went back and forth between attempting to guilt me and cursing me out. Please read below. This is an example of a text thread that was entirely my mother speaking without me interrupting. Notice the repeating mood swings. Uncalled for accusations. We will pay the credit cards off as soon as possible. I never intended to put you out, but create credit for you. You are out of control. You can expect your credit to go up by 30 points when paid off. I never took a penny from you. All I ever did was try and help you. I am done. I am over trying to help you. I did everything I could for you. I would never let you fall. WTF, is this my daughter thanking me? Oh, I'm so disappointed to you and your reaction. My intentions are to pay it off and let you be on your own. You are out of control. It was not until a week later that I spoke to my mother again, reminding her of the debt she has to pay and that no payments have yet to be made. Our conversation ended with her saying, "Bye, been paid, bye, F off, B." I said, "Own up to what you have done. I'm freaking sorry for giving you credit." The following day, she informed me that she had paid off and closed all of the cards. I asked her for proof of email, screenshot, etc. I have yet to hear back from her. So what now? It has been exactly 3 weeks now since the incident has occurred. At first, I stayed up many nights wondering what I did to deserve the betrayal from my parents. I did not understand why she was able to hurt me this bad and refused to apologize. I did not understand how my stepdad, who has been in my life for almost 20 years, was so quick to back my mother up and cut me out. I have since opened my eyes and realized that I do not have to allow toxic people to remain in my life. I have leaned on my colleagues, boyfriend, and other family members during the difficult time. I know that in order to move on with my life, I needed to forgive, not for them, but for myself. I began to understand that they would have to live with what they have done for the rest of their lives, while I am able to have peace in my heart. Fools take a knife and stab people in the back. The wise take a knife, cut the cord, and free themselves from the fools. What accounts? So, just a bit of a recap. My mother illegally opened 4 credit cards in my name when I turned 18, without my knowledge. Now, at 24, I have found out and demanded that they be paid off and closed. My mother convinced herself that she is helping me build my credit, not harming me in any way. She told me that I owe her for all she's done for me as a parent. You were not deprived. She has this made-up scenario in her mind that without her doing this for me, aka running 4 cards over their limit and missing payments, that I would have 0 credit. Anyway, since her closing 3 of the 4 cards, my credit has gone up nearly 80 points. Our relationship now. I still feel it's ruined. I still hate her and am disgusted by her actions and what she has done to me. We still have yet to speak. She refuses to apologize because she believes that I owe her for parenting me. I also have not spoken to my stepdad, who was quick to jump to her defense and attack me verbally. I do not think this will ever change. If it does, it will make some serious counseling and gaining back of trust. Moving forward, life goes on. I have continued my career and remodeled my classroom. I have worked on bettering myself. I have also began to come to the conclusion that in order to move forward, I am going to have to forgive. For her, heck no, she is not worthy of even knowing my feelings on this topic. I need to work on forgiving for myself, so I can be at peace and continue my life knowing that I cut her off because she is toxic. She is not a good person, and I simply do not want to associate myself with her. Family or not, there comes a time when it is essential to remain at peace with yourself, even if that means cutting off your mother. Now we are civil, but things will never be the same. She still is set on the fact that she did absolutely nothing wrong. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Candy Coated Coward. It says, file a fraud report with the police. You didn't open those credit cards or give anyone permission to do so. It doesn't matter if she paid them off, though she probably didn't. OP responded to this one and said, I really considered it at the time, but I ended up not doing so. It's been a few years now. I practically lost a majority of my family over this because all family events include her. OP, there's still time to file that report. It doesn't matter if it's been a few years. And you're not talking to your mother anymore anyway from what you say, so what does it matter if she gets charged with something? You're not seeing her, you're not seeing the rest of the family, you decided to cut them out, and that's what's best for you. File those charges, get all of that stuff removed from your credit report, and move on. It'll be the best thing you could ever do for yourself. This story comes to us from Chocolate and Shoes. Oh, I love those. My mom talking to my brother about debt I apparently owe him. So I live in a house with my brother. My name and our mom's name is on the deed. The way the deal was struck 2 years ago when we started this is that all 3 of us would move in together and expenses would be split 3 ways. My mom provided a little less than 50% of the cost of the house. I got a mortgage for the rest in my name because I'm the only one with good credit. My brother fixed up the house. He equated the work he did to around $10,000 if he was charging a stranger. I also paid $10,000 in materials. At one point during construction, we all got into a screaming argument where Mom and I threatened to kick my brother out, and he told us we couldn't. I looked him in the eye and told him I would pay him $10,000 for his work and kick him the heck out. He decided not to press his luck, and construction continued. The intention was for Mom to live there until she dies, my bro to continue to rent the property forever, and me to eventually move on and buy another house. Well, Mom decided not to come live with us. Then, I started paying for work to be done, concreting the front walkway, getting gutters put on the house, plumbing problems, HVAC problems, etc. I do all the communal cleaning and even cleaned his bathroom before I stopped and thought, wait, why the heck am I doing this? Honestly, it's not good for us to live together. We don't mesh well. I also didn't understand the impact of 2 mortgages on my lending capability, and won't be able to get out without renting somewhere else for 5 to 10 years at least. We ultimately decided that he will move out, and he's been looking for a few weeks. Well, he approached me last night and brought up the $10,000. Apparently, Mom tried talking to him about it, and honestly, it took some effort to control my face. That money has been more than made up in his reduced rent over the last 2 years. If anything, I thought he would ask to take the fridge and washer that he brought with him, and I would offer to buy them off him. My bro basically said Mom tried to talk to him about it, and he distracted her by changing the subject, but he wanted to talk to me about it. It essentially boiled down to, I don't want that $10K, you're family, and you don't take money from family. Found a place, and I want to move around the 5th to the 7th, but pay the guy on the 1st to lock it in. Would you be willing to waive the rent for January and let me keep my tools in the shed? I asked him point blank if she was trying to get me to pay him, and he essentially responded that he cut her off before he could hear the whole thing. Part of me thinks this might have been a negotiation tactic to get me to agree, but to be honest, I already expected to waive a month's rent, give him an extended move-out period, and let him keep his tools in the shed. I also told him he could keep his house key so that he can access said shed, and said I would help him move. I have a lock on my bedroom door, and that's where I keep my valuables, so no worries about him getting into anything of value. He told me he would also give me a copy of his new key for emergencies and replace a faulty bathroom light before he leaves. So, negotiation successful. No idea if Mom was trying something else by bringing up that $10,000, but if she actually intended for me to pay it, she's absolutely insane. How wild is it to promise someone else's money to someone? I honestly wouldn't put it past her. She's prioritized him over me before. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called After Improvement 26. It says, get your home and peace of mind back. Waive the rent, get a signed and independently witnessed statement from your brother that there are no financial issues outstanding between you. Enjoy your home in peace. Remember this series of events in all future financial dealings involving family. OP, I understand that family is family and we want to do things to help the family out, but when it comes to money, people can get odd, very odd, and greedy, and only caring about themselves. Money absolutely brings out the worst in people. I'm glad it sounds like you were able to find a way around it, but your mother sounds extremely toxic. OP, I really hope you enjoy your house on your own, and don't let any other family members back in unless it's an absolute emergency. This story comes to us from Plorky Plock Throwaway. Another airport entitled mother harassed me about retro gaming on my laptop. Yeah, I'm back, and with another entitled parent encounter. I seem cursed of this sort of thing, because almost the exact situation repeated itself. I was traveling for work again, and cutting things close to be home for Christmas. This time, it happened on a layover on my way home. My next flight wasn't to be for a few hours, So I did my usual of finding an airport cafe and plugging in my personal laptop so I would not run the battery dry. This time, I was playing Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. I really enjoy playing as Henry, even though his quest is so much shorter because he actually uses a pew-pew. I had to wear headphones to avoid disturbing anyone, but eventually, I felt a small hand tugging at my pant leg. It was a small boy, probably a bit younger than the one from last time I posted. He pointed out the bright red game controller I was using and asked what it was. He thought it was for an Xbox. Internally, I was mildly offended by that, being the retro Nintendo fan I am. But only a complete jerk would be angry at a kid for not knowing about something that existed before they were born. Plus, it's not like all people in my day were Nintendo fans. Yeah, I was one of those guys who got in console debates, and even though I never got a chance to really click with the Super Nintendo, I still defended it against the Sega Genesis. Though not on a console wars level, I let my friends do those debates. Back to the situation in the airport, I was tired and not in the mood to be bothered, so I politely asked the kid to please go back to his parents and leave me be. He just stared at me like what I said didn't register, so I asked again, and when that didn't work, I asked a nearby employee for help and a coffee refill. The employee found the kid's mother nearby and ushered the boy back to her. Moments later, I was being confronted by an entitled mother dressed all in black and white while red in the face like a bad newspaper headline, and was demanding to know what my problem was. I can't just play video games in public and expect to not attract the attention of children. I sighed because I knew exactly where this was going, not my first rodeo after all. But in most other situations like this, I usually just get a dirty glare from the entitled parent. But after the incident in which an entitled mother destroyed my laptop, I was much more on guard. I stood up and told her it was not my job to entertain her child. It's not the job of the cafe employees or other people in the cafe either. It was her job. Either bring something for her kid to game on or find a way to entertain him herself. I don't care, but leave me out of it. She acted extremely offended and called me a giant man baby. I told her that was exactly the sort of thing a Karen would say, which only angered her further. Soon, the same employee was back and tried to break things up. She politely asked us both to calm down, but the entitled mother refused and said I should be thrown out for insulting her. I finally had enough and said I sued the last person like her who demanded I entertain their son because they broke my computer and got arrested. And there are cameras all around us to see who started what. So go ahead, try me. The entitled mother started huffing, and I calmed down enough to sit back down and act polite enough to say please just leave me alone. The employee sided with me and asked her to just calm down and leave me be. The entitled mother huffed and dragged her kid away by the hand while he cried about the games. For a good while, she was repeatedly glaring at me. Her son played on what I assume was her phone, which meant she had nothing to do herself. But then they left and later came back with a coloring book and a fresh pack of crayons. I think she grabbed at the overpriced gift shop. And her son played with that till it was time to go. This isn't quite over though. That entitled mother was somehow on the same flight as me, which made the entitled mother target me during boarding. She made sure to be as close to me as possible, and her little boy had nasty gas, so he kept farting right in my direction. But I stayed silent, and I kept my sunglasses on so she could not see where I was looking. She tried acting smug, looking back at me, but the smugness was short-lived, as I made sure to act completely indifferent and silent to not show any irritation. Someone else called her out on her kids farting too, and she had a short argument with them about it. She later seemed to look like she sucked on a lemon as she saw I got to board before her to go to business class, and she had to board for coach a few minutes later. She mouthed "F you" as she went by my aisle seat. I was off the flight before the entitled mother, so I didn't see her again when leaving the airport. When my wife picked me up, I told her what happened. She rolled her eyes and called me a Karen magnet. OP added an edit down at the bottom. It says, "Edit, yeah, my wife told me no one would believe me if I posted this here. She's one of the most down-to-earth people I've ever met. To answer why I was in the cafe and not the lounge, I go where there's a free power outlet. Plus, I wanted some good coffee. Why didn't I just explain about the games and N64 controller to the kid? Because every time I've done that with an entitled parent's kid, they don't seem to lose interest. I've been asked by kids many times while emulator gaming on my laptop, and they rarely ever care that the games are over 20 years old. They're more concerned with the fact I have games when they're bored and have nothing else to do. And when my wife called me a Karen magnet, she wasn't joking. Most of the people who ask me about N64 gaming on my laptop just have a few questions and leave me alone. Then there's the ones who don't leave me alone. I've had numerous similar incidents in various places, but most of the time, the entitled parent takes their kid and backs off. And the incident in which a Karen entitled mother broke my laptop left me with an even shorter fuse for those people. Call me a giant man baby if you want, but I just wanted to relax and play my games in peace while waiting for my flight. Is that so wrong? Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Zynex1766. It says, "I feel as though this entire situation, assuming it actually happened, could have been avoided had you simply told this kid that the controller was a Nintendo one from the 1990s. Well, there's a whole bunch of comments on this one calling OP out for a fake story, and I honestly don't know what to think here because it's just too perfect of an entitled parent story. I don't know. What do you all think? If you're on YouTube, comment down below. And if you're listening on the podcast, well, go to YouTube and comment down below.